tables, you check your figures, you check, oh, how is my table 3, and where I am talking about table 3, the informations in table 3 and the content in the session where table 3 has been mentioned in my paper, does it correlate with each other? You make sure that you express all information, majority of the information in your tables or your figure, you express it out in a narrative form in your write-up. And then you make sure that your paragraphs must link. You check if the paragraphs and the sections, if there must be smooth transitioning from one paragraph to the other. You filter out irrelevant informations. You make sure that you write in line with your objective. That is mission 4. I will also show you a demonstration of how I defined my mission 4. So here you can see a completed part. So then I have my tables. At this time, I've already developed my tables, my figures, and then for example, when I click introduction here, now this is what the introduction looks like now. This is what it looks like. Previously, the introduction looked like this. Framework. Like this. So, and after the mission 4, my introduction is something like this. And I have a 9-page introduction, and below it you can find all the references that is contained in this introduction. So that is for introduction. Some other parts, this is how 6.0 look with before fine-tuning, and then after fine-tuning, completed part 6. I had something like this. So this is what mission 4 is. You go through it, you fine-tune it, you filter out unwanted informations, and I have them like that. You check the tables, your references, everything must be in accordance as it is being discussed in your text. Moving on, the next thing a minute, I'm trying to actually it's giving me some problem. F5. Okay. Okay, now the next thing after you have, don't forget, recap is after you have fine-tuned your write-up, you have checked the paragraph linkages. The next thing is you need to, the next thing we'll be talking about is what are the critical, the criteria for your study selection. How do I evaluate the papers to put in my study? How do I evaluate the key points to put in my review paper? So here are the key points that we should put in our mind when we are, writing a review paper. You need to have a targeted journal quality in mind. If you want to submit your review paper in a very high, a very high impact factor journal, then you must source paper that have similar impact factors, so that your bibliography will be of high quality papers. For example, you are targeting a journal of about 10 point something impact factor. You don't need to, half of your paper should not be under 2 point papers under 2.5, 2.4, or even 3 point something, you should, screen out that majority of your papers should be within around 10, even higher than 10, 15, 8, 7, 5, thereabout. Of course, you can have, if you have interesting results from papers that were published, papers published in journals of low impact factor like 2 point something, you can also bring them in. But you should keep in mind that reviewers, when they review your review paper, when they screen they review your review paper, they review it as if it is your work. So when they notice that if they notice inconsistency in some information, they start digging. And once they start digging, it is easy to discredit a review paper. They can tell you, no, this paper does not have a base. This paper does not have a novel, is not novel. This paper contains so many inconsistency. It might not be beneficial to readers. But when they see that you actually made the working conclusion from papers of high credibility, the way they tackle you will be reduced. Also, you have to screen those papers based on relevance to your objective. You should not try, because you want to increase your volume of your review paper, you try to bring papers that are not directly linked to your objective. Also, check for papers that have good study designs, I mean reproducible studies. Don't forget that when you are writing a review paper, using you are not using review papers to write your review papers. Mostly you are using research papers to write your review papers. So those research papers must have good methodology. Their experimental background must be solid. The statistical analysis carried out in those papers must also, you must like be of like good, you must be confident that this paper was well, the design of this study was well done. And also there must be clarity in their report. If you find a paper that in this section they reported this, when they go to another section they are reporting conflicting ideas, all those kind of papers, please avoid putting it in your paper. It might jeopardize your study. So you need to, the credibility of that article must be checked before you add it to your own study. The author, the affiliation, the journal. I must be sincere with you. When I write any paper or even a review paper, I look at the affiliation, because these days we know that there are so many informations out there. Some people even sit down in their offices, they cook up, one or two things and they put out. You don't want somebody's cooked data to affect your own comprehensive review. And also, you must check for consistency of that data with other reports. Now, this is the idea. If you are working on something and there is a pattern based on many studies, the pattern is following this way, then this is the trend. But another paper that's saying no, although other paper followed this paper followed this. You need to critically examine if that paper is really worth adding in. Now, the idea of putting like inconsistent data in review might be a little bit fun. Like, discuss, compare and contrast. Oh, why this study developed this trend or something. Another study by this is saying the opposite. It is very good. But you need to also find, sufficient data to prove that point. Or else when you write it in your review paper, you can have, reviewers pointing out that, how sure are you is this? Could this could be an outlier. This might be due to another thing. How sure are you of this? So you need to, check consistency of the data with other reports. And also you must use studies that have been peer reviewed in your review paper. Please do not use I cannot remember the name of this journal that they used to say, these journals, all these journals that is just one reviewer, or you submit today, they publish tomorrow, or you submit today, they publish after 1 week. You should be careful about those kind of journals. And also, you can also track the citation record of that paper to just judge the impact of that study. Now, finalizing your draft. Before you can say, okay, let me proceed to submitting my review paper, you must check for these following things. Now, first is your introduction. You must checklist that your introduction contains the significance of your study, what has been done, how your study is different, how your review is different from other review on that in that topic. If it is the first review in that topic, well, it is good. That is also like a significance. No study has conducted systematic review on blah 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 blah. It is very good. But if you have many studies previously published on this, and many review published on this, then you need to state out in your introduction how yours is different in this. And then you need to identify that, oh, this study is filling this gap in knowledge, or trying to correct the controversies in existing studies. Next thing is your subheadings and sections must be clear so that your readers can follow. Clear and descriptive enough. And then when we are putting this subheading, importance of something, do not start putting don't, when you are benefit of this thing, then don't under it, don't put another content. Let your subheading and your subsection, let it be in line with your content. Also, tables and figures must be brief. You should summarize all the key findings, and you should facilitate comparison. When they see your tables, it should be clear enough and people can easily compare. Okay, this study by this one, this study by this one. Or your figures should be clearly and should be illustrative enough. Your main text, make sure that there is logical flow of ideas. I've mentioned it throughout your paper. You must not jump and then the next paragraph is like a new thing entirely. There must be linkages. Logical flow in the main text should be checked. If it's not checked, go back to your table and start fine-tuning. And under each section, under each subheadings, try to write a concise summary at the end paragraph. Under each section, try to, at the course of this session, it has been something identified that this. Subsequent session, we focus on the blah 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 of this, and then it's also very good. It makes it very fun and interesting to read. And your overall conclusion is, you need an overall conclusion. These are the key elements of your review that must be there. Identify gaps and then area for future studies. Now, your references, you must please cite papers accurately. I am begging you, in a review paper, one of the worst things that I see in some review is when they say a line. I read that line and I'm interested. I want to read more on what this person said. Olawuyi 2021 noted that when you idolize this structure, this citing, it improved rheology, blah blah blah. Oh, I'm interested, and I click Olawuyi 2021. When I click that paper, I don't want to find number one. I don't want to find Samuel Eto. Two, I don't want to find Abike was talking about structure. I don't want a study that is not talking about rainfall and something. You need to accurately cite your papers. The problem of review papers is that most times they have a lot of citation, a lot of references, and it's too cumbersome for even the editorial team to follow up all these references. And once you just put it out there, the information is there permanently, and you might not like it. And when you are collating your informations under its heading, make sure you do not miss the references. Like when I showed you my draft, you see I put brackets, something. If I copy one information from a paper and I fail to put where I got it from, when I'm writing and I want to reference it, it gives me a lot. That means I need to open all the paper that I read one more time and search for where I got that information. It is time consuming, so you need to reference accurately. Also, after that, you revise and you edit. There's some readability, grammatical error. You check for it. You check for plagiarism. There are tools for checking plagiarism, and most importantly, obtain copyright permission. When you are using uh, when you are using figures or tables or anything from another paper, you obtain copyright permission. I will teach you, I will demonstrate how you can get copyright permission for a CV and some journals. I know most of us will know it, but I don't know. For the benefit of doubt, people that don't know it, I will, after this slide, I will quickly, show how to get the copyright. The next, ah, I'm sorry. I think I have been showing a different. Oh my God. I think I've been on a different page since. Oh my God. Nobody. Ah, I've been presenting a different page since. Nobody, brought my notice to it. I hope people are online and people are following, because
Yeah, we're online. We're following some.
I nobody brought my attention to it that uh, the page I was presenting was important tools. Anyway, uh, I'm having this problem because I'm using a splitted PC and I don't know how to, uh, use this Google Meet like that. I usually present with WebEx or Zoom. So this is the page I was talking about: introduction, subheadings, people and figures, plagiarism check, and copyright. The last is journal formatting. You need to check which journal. Now, you have already decided which journal you want to you submit to. You have to check their guidelines for abstract. Please, some journals are very, especially all these review journals. They are very strict. Like journals that are focused on strictly on review paper, they are very strict. Once you submit a paper that does not follow their guideline, you get a dex reject, and most times you might not be chance to resubmit those papers. Some journals tell you before you submit your paper, you have to first send an email to one of the editors in chief. So please, you need to check the guideline of the journal. You format your abstract. There are different abstract format. You format your text. You format your words. You format your reference styles. You might be thinking, what if I submit it and these people reject it? Uh, uh, Submitting to a new journal, is unfortunately we have to do something like that. In my case, I've also faced similar issue where I had to go back to my raw file and remodify one more time. So briefly, before I move to important tools, I would like to share how we can get copyright approval. The paper I was showing you, this is how it looked like. So this is the final. You remember I told you I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm lucky that the way I planned my structure is the way it came out in the final paper. So this is when you put so much attention and details into planning your review. You might have a minimum revision by the reviewers. This paper was submitted uh, to the second journal. The first journal rejected it, uh, and then after review, they rejected it. So I did the revision. I submitted to this journal. I submitted on May 3rd. I revised June. That is like a month and few days after, and it was accepted that same day after revision. So when you put uh, so much attention to it, you might actually get your review paper accepted. So this is, please follow how you get right. You see this button here, it says get write and content. I'm very sure many people know how to do it, but for people that don't know, get right. You go to the paper. If it's a severe journal, you go to the paper, get right and content. You click it, click on it, and then it brings you to this page. I would like to what? Reuse. Uh, reuse. You can click. I like to reuse in a journal. Reuse in a journal or magazine. I am. You. Oh, I think you cannot see you. Anyway, this is you cannot see the selections. I am what? I am a medical. Click your selection, and then you fill all these parts. You continue, and then it's an easy process. You can tell them this is I would like to use figure. You click. I intend to publish my work in which journal. For example, if you want to publish in another journal, you click the publisher and something like that. This is how you get approval. So the next thing is tools. What are the important tools that I can use? What are the important tools that I can use for my review? Databases. For database, you can use PubMed, you can use Scopus, you can use Web of Science, and Google Scholar. These are very good databases that you can use for sourcing your studies. And then for me, when I'm writing a review paper, because when I wrote that paper, it took some time. So I set Google Scholar alert on using those keywords to tell me if they publish any paper while I was writing. So it's good when you keep up with recent papers. You can set Google Scholar alert. If you would like to know how to do it, you can ask other scholars. I'm sure many people know how to do it, or you can meet me. I will explain to you. Then writing tools, MS Word, Overleaf. There are different writing tools. I use MS Word. Referencing, Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero. I use EndNote. And you need to use tools for designing your tables and figures. I use Excel to collate my to summarize my tables. I use Excel, and then for my figures, I use Origin and I use Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, what are the challenges that you are likely to face when you are writing a review paper, a systematic review paper? You should not be ignorant of this. You might have too many data to deal with. Like you have to read many papers. It gets tiring, it's overwhelming. But how can you solve this thing? You need to narrow down your search. You need to when you are copying your information, you need to copy relevant information relevant to your research objective. You don't need to just take too much. Just be specific in cropping your in searching for your paper, and you're copying your information. Also, one of the challenges is selective and biased reporting. Sometimes we when you are writing your review, you need to be open-minded. You understand? You need to when you don't
Sorry, sir. You're still on the important tools page.
ah thank you. I think how do I 1 minute. Let me close other windows. Thank you for bringing me back. Is it?
This is important tools. You can just go to
Yeah,
the
I think it's on. The page now is important tools. I think you should put it on excuse me, presentation mode. Why don't you press F5, Doctor?
I'm pressing it to that I'm a village man.
Nah, same here. Same here, sir.
Okay.
You can just put it on slideshow. I think with that you can monitor it. Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yeah,
Challenge.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine now. Challenges is fine now.
Okay. Is it okay? But I want to show the full screen.
And that would be slideshow at the bottom.
Yeah, that's like that one. Yeah, right.
Hey, thank you. This technology. I need to learn how to use this thing. Anyway, so when you are reporting, you must not be biased. You must try to report with open-minded. Open mind. You have to report open-mindedly. You have gathered the information, and then you are writing a narrative report. You need to be open-minded, and you have to be selective in what you want to report. You don't need to report some fallacy or something, but you have to also be open-minded. Another thing is when you are combining information from multiple sources, it might be stressful because you want to, the essence of review is you want to corroborate one person's like a pattern with different people's different from like a pattern that you have observed in different studies. You want to combine it to make like a story, a sentence. Sometimes it's very difficult. There are so many, you face challenges. How do I put these three things and make it up, like form a matrix, a very good storyline? Those are one of the challenges. And then coherent reporting and structure. How do I structure out my review? Many times you even you revise the structure many times. It is okay. Another thing is missing references. Like I told you, it is a very stressful thing. You do not miss your references. Once you miss, you misplace the reference for an important information, you have to go back and search for it. And please do not fabricate references. Also, time management is very important for me. I when I write my paper, I used to have somebody beside me, like that I talk to. I want to finish this paper until this time, and please kindly monitor me. This is my timeline. If you have a senior, if you are working with your professor, of course they will keep you in check. But if you are flexible and you need to be disciplined and manage your time. Time management is often a challenge when you are writing a research article. And then one of the challenges, lack of motivation. When your motivation span has depleted, you can also be depressed while writing. I was depressed while writing this review paper. I tried to stop, but when I look at how much work I've done and what is left, I had to gather myself. In the time moments where you are depressed, you seek for help. And one of the challenges is quitting. Quitting, like I said, when you are depressed, of course, you think of quitting. And researcher's attitude, if you are engaging in comprehensive review, a researcher must put up a realistic attitude. You need to tell yourself, you don't need to lie to yourself, I will finish it in a month. You need to be realistic with yourself. So set a realistic timeline for yourself, a realistic goal. If you know you are busy with other things, you can increase your time up to so amount. But do not forget, while you are conceiving this idea in your mind, other people might have also conceived it, or maybe their paper is even currently undergoing review. I remember while I was writing mine, I set a lot. So luckily for me, some papers were published that were closely related to mine, but lucky enough for me, I was able to shift a little bit. And when I was writing the relevance of my paper, I cited those papers that this paper recently published on this part, but they have not discussed certain part, this part, which is the main thing. You have to also focus on that. Then you have to be disciplined. You have to be goal oriented. If you are not goal oriented or target oriented person, it's difficult to write a review paper. You need to be open minded and transparent when you are writing your paper. Do not force a trend. Do not force a trend. What I mean is when papers are saying this is this, do not be too too sure and conclude. No, you must be transparent in your reporting. Don't Don't track what other authors did not say, because they might actually get to read that paper in the future, and if what you have written down is very very incriminating, they might actually bring up a case against you. So that is also, it needs to be, you have to be ethical, and you have to keep up your integrity. You need to be creative. You need to be creative. If you feel like you are stressed, it might be difficult for you to write a review paper. You can pause it and do other thing. You need to be creative, because you need to be at your best, your best mood. Collaboration. Collaboration is good for a review paper. It brings more, it brings more, variety, more. It makes the review paper more juicy. But fortunately, some of us here, it might be difficult for us to collaborate with other labs to write a review, or maybe other country, other professors. It might just be like just you and your professor, and when if it's you and your professor, you are the only person doing it, so it's just yourself. But you can talk to your seniors or people that are around you, and when you have hit the hook, you need to know when to seek help, know when to say, please, I'm writing this thing, please help me check this thing. Myself and engineer Bashir Adelodu, we used to do this a lot. In fact, in the early days of my writing, I send him every paper that I just sent to, just scan, criticize, help me. What do you think I can do? And sometimes he sends me some things too, and I have many friends also that we share this thing together. So, in summary, uh, a researcher planning to write a comprehensive review, you must clarify the purpose and your scope. Without that, your review is shaky. Conducting a systematic literature search that is keyword based and research objective based. Uh, you need to, organization and management of your reference is very important. You have to establish clearly and define the criteria for selecting your studies. You have to establish it clearly. These are the criteria for 10 years, high impact factor, low impact factor, papers that are published by this paper, that are published by this journal. You have to set it. Then you make a list of the targeted journals that this I want to publish in this journal. You write the order. If this one accepts, then next make a list of them, and then it will help you when you are writing. You write in line with a common guideline within those selected journals. You write, just write, so that it does not, you don't have a problem after you have written for this journal and maybe they reject it, and you're now going to a different journal entirely. You now have to change the structure and everything. It gives a lot of stress. Sometimes it's as if you are rewriting the whole review paper again. Then you need to write clearly and concisely. Use simple language to express your ideas. Your structure, the structure of your sentences and your paragraph must flow logical. It must be logical. It must have a smooth and an appeasing flow. And then you have to maintain objectivity when you are writing. You do not put by your personal mind, your own. You have to be objective. This is open knowledge. You don't need to force a review to one direction. You need to read, open, you have a critical thinking, and be objective in your report. And then share your work with your colleagues, seniors, professionals, so that they can help you, if you are to guide you one way or the other. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope that this short, you have gotten one or two from this. Thank you. Yogi Kaji.
Thank you very much, sir. God bless you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and impact knowledge. Today, we say thank you very much. So, I think for the next 3 minutes, would just have like a very short break so that people can maybe get water and write down their questions. So, once it is, this is 10 minutes past 9. So, I think once it is 12 minutes past 9 or 13 minutes past 9, would be entertaining questions. So we'll be entertaining just 3 questions. Then by the time we're done, we would call on the Vice President Sanju to give us a vote of thanks, and would round off the program for today. Thank you very much. So in the next 3 minutes, let's try to gather our questions. So we'll be taking just 3 questions. Thank you very much. Okay, I think it's time for Q&A. So if we have any questions, anybody with any questions, so I think we can signify by raising our hand. Okay, so we have two raised hands. I think I would go first with our able vice president. Then Ismail Adibayo will also go. And if there's any other question after that, we'll take it. All right. The floor is all yours, Vice President, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Scholar Arab Mishala. I would like to appreciate the doctor that had given us a comprehensive lecture about writing a systematic review. I'm so sorry I can't have my video on currently because I'm expecting food. I'm sorry. So I'll be very brief. I would like to ask, in a situation where we are currently writing a review paper and probably it takes a while and there are new publication at the time. What is your advice to ensure that we capture the most recent publication while writing a systematic review? Because you made mention of time management, which is a very essential tool to writing a review. So there are instances when you write a paper and you probably tarry on it for a while, and there are more recent publication. In one way or the other, they may probably just negate your own preconceived or proposed conclusion. If they negate your proposed conclusion and they are recent, so what is your opinion, Doc? Thank you.
Okay. Can I answer the question? Moderator?
Yes, sir. The question is for you, sir.
Oh no, I mean like instantly. Okay, thank you so much. I understand your question. And it is very tricky. The thing is, sometimes when you submit, I will take this issue like you are submitting to a very reputable journal. And if you have a reputable journal, most of the reviewers, especially if it is a journal that is, basically accepting only review papers, those reviewers are mostly very, very updated. So when you, for example, a new knowledge drops, and then maybe a few months later you submit your paper and you did not take that paper into reference. If you are lucky, it might pass, but most times you might not be lucky. Some reviewers will now copy the DOI of the papers and tell you this paper first. If you had already set your range, that okay, my review is from, for example, from 2010 to 2020, and you submitted your paper in 2021, and that new paper drops in 2021, you might decide to exempt it and submit a rebuttal like, oh, this paper focused mainly on publications within this range. And even though this paper is similar, like is relevant, however, it does not fall within that range. But if you are open and it falls within your range, you have to take it into reference. And sometimes if it does not work with your conclusion, if it's different, I think that is why we have a review paper. It is not what you have done, it is what people did, and you are trying to make a trend. So if your conclusion is different from, if that paper brings another conclusion, if you wish, you can also add it and make throw it somehow, throw it out, and propose that it means that more research should be carried out to validate existing study. This is also something you can add in your paper, like while most of this study focused on this, and recent data is the recent data you are getting is showing something different. It means that more study should be conducted to validate the like the point that you are trying to say. And I think it's a very good thing. I'm done. Thank you so much. I hope that somehow answers the question. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Engineer Ismail.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibukunoluwa. for a wonderful presentation. Thank you, sir. My questions goes those. Let me say a question. Let me just put it summarize in a question. So, can we actually review a review paper? Can we review a review paper? And even if you are reviewing a review paper, should we concentrate more on it, or we should just go to this qualitative aspect of the paper, the qualitative research paper? Let me put it like that. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the truth is, in my opinion, I believe that if you if you are writing a review paper on a topic and you have not reviewed the review papers present on that topic, you have not done a good job. So it is actually why when we have sometimes we have many review papers on the same topic coming out different years, different. It's because we need to go back and revisit that review. We can review it, but while you are writing your own review, there is something you should not do. You should not focus more on discussing a review. You can use it to set a guideline for your relevance of your study. You know, you point out that this review paper on this work on this. However, there are gaps. It still did not cover some gaps. Some questions are still left unanswered, such as this, like this. And then your own review tends to, collate all the questions that have not been answered in previous reviews. Then your answer, you set your objective. Is okay like that. But you must not, when you are making a point, a working conclusion, and the bracket citation is now a review paper, then that is wrong. It means like you are copying whatever when you are reviewing the review, you need to add more, you know, more quantitative studies and join with it. So that is you must not, look at it and start writing the same thing and, no, because that review paper is also a review. But you need to review those papers to set your objective and then join it with other quantitative studies, then bring out a new review paper. I hope I've answered the question. So we can, if you are not clear, you can still ask question one
Thank
more
you.
time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we also have a new hand. We have Engineer Obashe Korea Madam. Please, the floor is yours, sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you so much. I understand your question. And the first thing is the structure of a systematic review, it varies by field. So like in your field, it has to do with codes and different. You need to validate it and express it in the review whether it's reproducible or something like that. And the matter of being deep, actually, you don't need to go too deep. The thing is, the extent of the depth should will be defined by your objective. What you are doing, because the review paper is just to is an arrangement of existing research. You just have to, when you have if you set a simple objective, then you can actually achieve, you can actually do like simple, you don't need to go too deep and complicate issues. So in your probably in your case, I'm not so familiar with that, but the answer I can give is it has to do with you rerunning some of those things. uh, you might have to narrow down your scope, narrow it down to a realistic, volume, so that you don't have to do so much more. You don't need to run like 50 more codes or something. So the depth for AI and people in AI, I have not seen a review paper. I've not seen it, so I don't know how it is. But I think when we say comprehensive, systematic, it does not mean the volume. Sometimes it might be limited 10 pages, 12 pages, but the systematic comes with the quality of the content that you are giving. The content, like your conclusion, your working conclusion, the quality of it. I have checked round and I can see that this so is work. So just set the depth you want and then work with it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for this very impactful session. And we also want to appreciate everyone that's taking time to join us today. We all know that we are quite busy people, and a couple of us were still around for the welfare program. So we really appreciate the commitment to our programs, and we say God bless you, and may God empower us as we keep up this research life. So I think I'm very sorry. I think we have our president is still our president is in this meeting with us. So we'd like him to just give us like a very short vote of thanks and close the program for today. And we'll be seeing you next month. Thank you very much.
Pressing down lower.
No, I think the president is currently busy, so I will
Oh,
just take it. Yeah.
oh, okay, sir.
Thank, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, the moderator. Uh, I would like to appreciate everyone for making our time to attend this well-packed, comprehensive lecture that had just been given by Dr. Ibukunoluwa. We would like to appreciate the chairman of the Knowledge Sharing Committee as well, and all other distinguished members of the Knowledge Sharing Committee. In all, we would like to appreciate the NSC community uh, under the leadership of the President Anis, for putting this whole thing together and delegating people to who are started with the responsibility of conducting this kind of lecture and also several other lectures in this series. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, Dr. Ibokun. And I don't know if I do not mention some people, it might be just an oversight. So that's just it. Thank you so much for making it a date with us. Thank you, the moderator, for handling this thing and ensuring that we manage our time effectively. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great evening wherever you are.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, sir.